It really matters what you think. It also matters what you do.
Welcome back to the Wealth Boomerang Show. We're chatting to Jamie McIntyre, who's bringing 21st century education to the masses. I think 500,000 people have been through seminars, and Jamie has been nominated for the Australian of the Year award. What are your plans for revitalising the education system in this country?
Well, I think it's critical that we, education, as I said before, is the key to future prosperity of an entire country, let alone individuals. So the last 15 years, I've been focusing on individual level through my seminars and through DVDs and online material that we give away, to thousands and thousands of people. But we really want to change it at a school level. Particular high school level. I think that's where it needs to change, and that's one of the reasons why I've decided to enter into politics, is to really push that education agenda, that we really need to update and change our education system in Australia so we can become a world leader. Kids these days deserve to have access to a 21st century modern day education taught by those with a PhD in results, teaching real life stuff that you can use when you leave school. There's so much things you learn at school. You probably remember, I remember I was one of those students that asked the teacher when we were being taught trigonometry or algebra. I was asking, why do we have to learn this? How is this going to help me live my dreams one day? And that's the challenge with the 19th century education. There's no correlation between what they're teaching and how it applies to us in life. And kids aren't stupid. Learning should be fun, and if you pre-frame kids and say, we're going to be teaching this today and learning these lessons because this is going to help you get X, Y, Z in the future, kids then have a reason to learn. School is fear motivation. You need to use more than fear to encourage kids. If you don't do this, you don't get grades, you won't get a job. You need to inspire them. And that's where you need a complete revolution in the education system. We don't need more money to do that. We just need to ask this very simple question. What should be in today's education curriculum to help people excel in the 21st century? That's a very simple question to answer, and that should dictate the education we should start teaching at school.
And through years of presenting on stage and writing your books and things like that, you've told a lot of people what they need to do. So saying, okay, you need to learn how to balance a checkbook, you need to learn how to invest in property, invest in shares, internet business, own business, that sort of stuff. Now you want to actually control the political education system and say, okay, let's take out the algebra. Is that your plan for Australia?
Yeah, I won't say take out the algebra, but I think we should make it a priority to learn the basics and the things that are critical to learning. Our kids are so ill-equipped. Emotional intelligence should be taught at school, financial intelligence, general skill sets. I'll give you an example. If you learn just a specialized knowledge, what if you were in the vinyl record industry and that's all your knowledge you learnt was about how to work in that industry, and all of a sudden overnight CDs come out and that industry is wiped out. Now CDs are even wiped out. The point is, if you had generalized knowledge, it doesn't matter what industry you go into, what career, like if you know how to articulate an idea, if you know how to negotiate, if you know how to market yourself, if you know how to be creative and solve problems, is there a career that you can't use those skill sets? These are generalized knowledge principles that we need to have. We need to teach our kids how to think. The 19th century education model was about teaching people how to be good employees, to go and work in factories, in mass production. And at the time, the world needed that, to conform and follow the rules. You didn't want to teach people to be creative and, let's not put this nut on the wheel today, let's try something different. You didn't want that, you wanted conformity. But today's, you need to be creative and be able to think for yourself to be able to succeed. The future is performance-based, people running their own businesses. That's where it will move back to. Accountability and responsibility. There will not be a pension in the future to take care of us. We'll have to learn how to become an investor. Peter Costello even told us that when he was the former treasurer.
You're getting very busy now with the politics, and we got the books before, What I Didn't Learn at School That I Wish I Had, What I Didn't Learn from My Financial Planner That Wish I Had, What I Didn't Learn from My Real Estate Agent, I think is another one. There's Lessons Learned from Oprah Winfrey, Lessons Learned from Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, Lessons Learned from Warren Buffett, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Are you going to have time to write books while you're off trying to run the country?
Yeah. Well, now I focus on a lot of books. My latest book was 101 Ways to Improve Australia, and I've created a lot of policy ideas, and it's good to see some of the major parties already stealing our policy ideas, but I'm happy for that to happen. This country needs common sense thinking, it needs intelligent, strategic thinking, it needs people that have produced a result. The challenge in our political system is only 16% or 33 of our 222 MPs, 26 MPs in this country have any entrepreneurial or executive board level manager experience. experience. Most of them are career politicians. John Howard, our former Prime Minister, come out and said, I'm concerned for Australia's future. They're full of career politicians, never worked a day in their life in a real job, never started a business. They have no idea. I mean, these people run a country, a $1.4 trillion economy. Of course they're going to run up debt. Of course they're going to run it into the ground because they simply don't have the skill set. So we need to change our political systems and our education systems, and that's what I'm about. And that comes from an education viewpoint. You really need to educate people on what is necessary to achieve success in their own life. And I'm all about accountability and responsibility. I'm not about government expanding and controlling people's lives. Government should stay out of people's lives. It should be efficient, productive government and let people get on with living the lives that they want to live.
I mean, there's obviously, when you're running your businesses, you model your behaviour off other people. When you're modelling your political career, how do you follow? If there's only 16% of people who actually run a business, like who do you copy to say, I'm going to run the country and I'm going to run it much more effectively than anybody's ever run it before?
Well, you certainly wouldn't copy most of the politicians because most of them can't manage their own tuck shop money, let alone manage a $1.4 trillion economy. So that's the reality, and that's probably why I've had to go and seek political mentors such as Arnold Schwarzenegger in America, and I always admired Bill Clinton. Malcolm Turnbull, I think, is one of the better politicians in this country. He also has a business background as well. Outside of that, there's very few politicians in Australia that I could say I look up to or would certainly seek advice from because they simply don't have the real life skills that this country wants and this country needs and this country deserves to have in Canberra.
You've made your success by matching and mirroring a lot of people. Now you're going into uncharted territory by not having people to follow when you go into politics.
Yeah, well, I have a capacity to deal with uncertainty. My friends say, you're crazy to go into politics. Why would you do it? Most entrepreneurs that have had success won't because it can be difficult. But I have a 10, 20, 30-year vision for this country, and I want to see Australia achieve its full potential. And I only wish our current politicians had a vision for this country that extended more than to the next election.
Fantastic. Most politicians only think one couple of years ahead. Jamie's thinking 30 years ahead for this country. Jamie, thank you so much for being on the show. We're almost out of time.
You're welcome.
You've given so much. Millions of people in Australia have benefited from free copies of your books. They've gone to your seminars and things like that, and you really are about the contribution. So I want to honour that, and I want to honour you. Thank you for watching the Wealth Boomerang Show. We're going to speak to wonderful people next week who have boomeranged back and created wealth in their own way. So make sure you connect with us on the Facebook page, join the discussion, ask questions of the guests, suggest topics that you'd like to cover. Next week, we'll present Dr. Dane here, formerly suicidal chiropractor who's now an expert on happiness. We'll also have Todd Polke, a personal trainer who went from small business to big success. And for the ladies, both men are inspiring, amazing, and if you're that way inclined, very good looking. Make sure you book yourself in to watch that show, particularly if you're into good looking blokes. And remember, whatever you send out comes back to you. Jamie said it's all about contribution. Your wealth is whatever you value, and your wealth is whatever you say that it is. Good night, Brisbane. Good night, Asher, my rose. Daddy loves you. See you next week for another Wealth Boomerang Show.
It really matters what you think. It also matters what you do. So if your brain waves don't just sink, what you send out comes back to you.